Okay, a couple things just to touch on today. One, this article popped up, and I know it's something I had mentioned in class a little bit, but just so you guys know, I wasn't lying about it or whatever. It's called that Rule of 72. Um, it's just one of those kind of cool things to keep in the back of your mind. I use it often. Um, Partly just to keep my mind working a little bit, but partly because it's kind of a cool thing to do, and it's a quick, simple way to figure out how long it's going to take for savings or investments to double in value. And the simple thing is, you take the rate or the number of years and you divide that into 72, and it gives you the opposite. So let's say I want to know if I have something. I'm going to have it for 10 years. What rate do I need for that to double? 72 divided by 10 would be equal to 7.2%, right? So if I have something that earns 7.2%, it's going to double in 10 years, okay? Roughly. This is an estimate. It's not one of those exact things, but if you plug it, you'll find it's pretty amazing if you plug it into the Excel thing and do the future value. It comes pretty close, and the article does say that it's closest if you're between 6 and 10% interest rate. You start getting outside those parameters, and the estimate becomes a little weaker. Okay, it'll still kind of work. It'll get you close, you know. So if something's earning 6%, it's going to double every 12 years, right? Conversely, if something's earning 12%, it's going to double every 6 years. Okay. So 9 and 8 work really nice because, if something's earning 9%, it's going to double every 8 years. If something's earning 8%, it's going to double every 9 years, right? Because those easily divide into 72. And so it's just kind of a nice little tool if you're sitting there thinking, geez, Grandma just gave me a couple grand. I think I'll pop that into my IRA. I'm 25 years old. If I leave it till I'm 65, it's a couple grand, so 2 grand. So it could, if I earn 7.2%, it's going to double 4 times, right? Between now and when I'm 65, if I can earn that on a compounded, this is compound interest, and this article emphasizes that. So 2 grand would become 4 grand, would become 8 grand, would become 16 grand, would become 32 grand then, right? By the time I'm 65 years old, okay? And it's just a quick little thing that you can use to do those things. So I've got this article. It's in the content section under interesting articles. If you have a desire to go look at that, I encourage you to do it. I've kind of given you the basics of it. This week your outlines are due, right, for Project 2. So hopefully we have that coming along. I see I had everything out of the inbox yesterday, the Dropbox yesterday, but I see there's a couple that got dropped in overnight, so I'll try to get a look at those probably tomorrow. My Tuesday, Thursdays are usually pretty tied up, but tomorrow I'll try to get a look at those and get some feedback so that you guys can work on the next part, and that's what I wanted to talk about. We don't have class on Tuesday, right? Because Tuesday's election day, so no class next week on Tuesday, okay? It's a official holiday or something. Even though everybody's voting by mail now, it's still official. Have you guys all voted already? A couple of you nodding. Yeah. So most, I forget what, I think the national right now, there's like 67 million people or something, or close to 70 million that have already voted. It's kind of wild. When I was your guys' age, voting just about all occurred on that day, period. There's a few absentee votes, but most everything. But anyhow, so Tuesday's off. So if you want to, the next step in this is going to be writing your introduction and your conclusion, right? It's going to be hard to write a accurate conclusion that's going to be the same conclusion that you're going to have at the end. But the idea here is I just want to make sure that you guys are on the right track, okay? I want to make sure that your intro is telling me what you're going to tell me, right? You're going to summarize or preview all the things that are going to be in the paper, the history, the strategy, the industry it competes, and of course a detailed financial analysis, okay? Your conclusion, ultimately in the conclusion, remember, you're going to make a recommendation. At this point, I don't know that you know what your recommendation is going to be, right? So that's fine. I mean, I get that. So if your conclusion says, hey, the recommendation is going to be coming, in the final, after the final analysis, that's fine. I get that, okay? So don't sweat those things at this point in time, but give me an idea in your intro and your conclusion, a good idea of kind of where you're going to be going with the paper. For those of you that haven't finished the outline letter, if you want outline yet, or if you want to go back and take a look at it, try to give me a little information. I do expect at this point that you've kind of looked up your company, right? That you've looked at the financials a little bit. Again, I'm not terribly concerned about the history of the industry and the strategy part, okay? I mean, if you fill a few of those things in, that's great, you should, okay? But in the financial part, it'd be nice to see a little bit of that, of what you found thus far. Again, just so I can kind of see, and it can be basic stuff. Hey, sales growth has been great over the last 5 years, in the income statement. But operating expenses seem to be outpacing sales growth, or, just some little things like that that show me that you're getting into it a little bit, okay? And at this point, you should be, That's what I want this project to be, is something that you look at a little bit here and there, because if you sit and you stare at it, if you wait and you procrastinate on this thing and you sit and you stare at it for 5 hours the day it's due, you're not going to see things that you would see if you look at it for 15 minutes every day. Every time you look at it new, some things pop off the page at you maybe. If you're sitting and staring at it after 4 hours and 3 beers, it's like, it all just blurs together then. So don't do that, Start kind of looking at it, just spend a little bit of time. You might even find that you kind of like that a little bit, studying a little bit and seeing, oh, this is kind of cool, And that way, too, if you come up with something you don't understand, Aaron and I were talking about something here. Why, when tax rates went down, did some companies have an actual increase in some taxes? I think it was something to that effect. And it has to do, I think, with some deferred tax benefits. And it's an oddball thing that happened, and some of you may see this in companies that they have recalls. Car companies would be another good one, and they have to account for it. There's SEC accounting and there's IRS accounting, okay? The SEC accounting is the stuff that you and I look at because they have to report every quarter, and so you and I get to see that. But the IRS accounting we don't see as often. We can probably see some of that, but it's not the same, okay? And so that kind of screws up sometimes the way they report some things. And that's what happened with this. I think it's called, again, a deferred tax benefit account. And it's an oddball thing, and so some of you may come across that. I got to kind of look it up again. Aaron and I were talking about it. I remember it, and I think I remember how it all works, but I got to look it up again and try to make sure that I know exactly what I'm talking about there. So if you come across those things, that's why it's important to start looking at it now, bringing it up so we can have a look at it and say, ooh, okay, here's what happened, right? And that way you'll know what you're writing about when you're doing your final paper. So that's it for today. Let you guys work on your project and your assignments that are coming up. Supplemental problems due today too, right?